Hello? Oh, there we go. Anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here this morning, and thank you for those people online that are watching us from home. So thanks for being with us as well. My name is Joanne, and I'm here to co-host with, or host with Reverend David. So
the unity movement embraces the inherent worth and diversity of every individual, fostering an environment of acceptance and respect for all people without distinction of any kind. So we come together to encourage and support one another in our individual spiritual journey. So wherever you are in that process, we're glad you're here. Welcome.
while it is a well-traveled land, we would like to respectfully acknowledge that the land in which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. We are grateful to work, learn, and live in this area.
And we are so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you. Good to be here, always. So, I'd also like to just kind of welcome our musicians for the day. We have Michael Karloff and Angela Shaka with us today, so thanks for being here too. It's always a delight. And now let's just take some time for an opening prayer. So just take in a nice, easy breath, and then exhale it. Feel yourself sitting in your seats, letting go of everything that was going on before you came here today, or everything that still may be going on for you. Just taking another deep breath. Spiritual truth is our truth. The world is filled to overflowing with information, so much in fact that you may find it difficult to know what is true. When you feel overwhelmed, you can turn to the most reliable source of truth, the truth of the Spirit of God within. The Spirit of God is absolute goodness, peace, love, and these are the enduring truths to which we give our attention and place our energy with. Whatever builds us up, inspires us, and even triggers our impulses toward kindness and decency has its roots in spiritual truth. Ideas that promote fear, scarcity, and separation are not based upon divine ideas of love, peace, and goodness. When we stay focused on the name and the nature of God, we can more easily discern what is true in the world. Teach me your way, O Lord. May I walk in your truth. Give me an undivided heart to revere your name. And so be it.
And so be it. Amen. So good morning. So good to see all of you. And I do want everyone to know that we do have a prayer chaplain today. Every Sunday we have a prayer chaplain on duty who is here to pray with you if you do desire prayer. If you do wish someone to pray with you, Lucy, would you raise your hand over here? Lucy is our prayer chaplain today, and she'll be delighted to pray with you after our service today. And that'll be upstairs. So thank you, Lucy, for doing this great service.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to point out our prayer request box here by the altar, and all you need to do is there's a slips of paper there, and you can write in whatever your prayer request is and place it in the box, and then what will happen is our prayer chaplain team will hold these requests in prayer for you. And we also have the silent unity, and that is just a service that's provided by Unity, and it reminds people that we are here 24/7 for prayer support, and the phone number is 1-800-NOW-PRAY.
Well, it is time for our first song today, and actually it'll be our first and our second. So, Angelica, what do we have singing today?
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. If you're willing and able, please stand and join us. Our first song is I Am the Thinker Who Thinks the Thoughts. All right, here we go. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. Let's do it again. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. If you ask me, who am I am wisdom, I am light, I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. If you ask me, what am I am beauty, I am joy, I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light and brighten someone's darkest night. I'm so much more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. One more time, guys. Oh, yeah. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life. One more time. I have the power to change my life. Woo! Thanks, everyone. Great work. All right. I am that I am has sent me to this now moment. Here I am. I am that I am has sent me to this now moment. Here I am to be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. To be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. I am that I am has sent me to this now moment. Here I am. I am that I am has sent me to this now moment. Here I am to be the voice and to be the heart through which Thank you all so much. You may be seated.
Unity Spiritual Center of Windsor is a progressive spiritual community that emphasizes personal growth, living consciously, and making a positive difference in the world. As part of New Thought and the worldwide unity movement, we strive to be compassionate, inclusive, open-minded, service-oriented, abundant, and spirit-filled.
Unity teaches that each person is a unique, individual expression of God. Our realization of that truth evolves as we expand our consciousness through prayer and meditation. Unity emphasizes that we create our experience of life according to the thoughts and the feelings that we hold in mind. Affirmative prayer is the highest form of creative thought, while meditation stills the mind and heightens our awareness of our oneness with each other, with spirit, with life, with God, with everything. So living from that awareness is what transforms us and in turn transforms the world.
So our affirmation for October is, I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. Will you affirm that with me, please?
I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. That is a good affirmation. I think we should do it again, but with real meaning this time, okay? So again, I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. And so I am. Woo!
Like it.
Okay, so now we've got some special music, okay?
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take. Bless the progress that you make. The reasons you live are there in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when, where, or how. You don't have to know right now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing take a breath and smile. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. 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 Thank you, Mike. Thank you all so much.
Oh, that was a great choice of music
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you. Lovely voice. Well, good morning, everyone. So good to see all of you out there, and some new faces as well. So welcome. Glad to have you here. And also for those that are joining us online, and there's quite a few of those as well, if everybody would this camera up here, if everybody just sort of turn around and say, hello, welcome, glad you joined us today. And we're glad you joined us today. Oh, so I'm just really delighted. Today is our Divine Conversations Day, the first Sunday of every month. We get together with someone and we have a divine conversation. And our guest today is Justin Teeuwen. And Justin, the more I find out about Justin, the more connections I find out that we have. So Justin was introduced to us by one of our guest speakers. What guest speaker was that anyway?
It was a guest lecturer from Detroit who came across over here. I actually met someone in Detroit,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they came across over here and said they were doing a guest lecture at Spiritual Unity Windsor, and that's when I learned that Spiritual Unity Windsor existed.
Right. And so we do have a lot of people that join us and that are online. And so Justin started watching us online, and Adam here, he's one of our newer members, and Mia, they just started watching us online and really felt right at home, I think, about how our teachings and everything. So they became members. And they don't get here a lot because of their schedules and everything, but they do watch us online, and they consider themselves part of this spiritual community here. So Justin is a fascinating guy. Again, the connections and everything. He's known Mike over here for ages. Mike and him way in the past. Justin is sort of a multi-talented person, okay? He's a dancer, and he got his master's in physics, and he got his PhD in education, but anyway, so he and Mike got together. Mike was playing for a ballet when he was dancing, so that's how their connection is. And then he was, how did you know Leo?
Leo and I are in the same fraternity.
In that same fraternity. So we got Leo, who is our live streaming person and tech person. We got him through the connection with Justin. So it's just amazing, all of the connections that we have here. And I think you said that your mother also knows Justin. So the truth is, we are so connected, and we just need to remember that we are connected. Yeah. So without any further ado, I'm going to invite Justin to come on up here and join me on stage.
Thank you.
And give him a warm hand.
Thank you.
Hey, so glad to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah.
This is my first time doing a lecture, talk from a seated position. So I'm a very animated guy who usually paces. So if you see me getting animated, that's
Well,
normal.
if you want to, you can always stand up and
It
pace.
could
That's
happen.
okay. If that
It could
happens, that
happen.
happens. That's okay.
I do want to share, too, that unity was in the background of my life way before I knew of unity. I actually came across Charles Fillmore's writings because I was very interested in motivation and self-help, which is ultimately what led me to the talk that I'm providing today with you. And so I came across Charles Fillmore's writings, and then this is one of my favorite stories. I was in Seattle. I believe that God, finds us through all kinds of places, and for me, it's books is one of the ways that I get spoken to, is books. So I'm walking into a Chapters in Seattle, just an innocuous Chapters, like all chapters, and I see this book, and it's A Course in Miracles. And I said, well, that's a bold statement. So I picked it up, and I'm like, who's the author? And I can't find the author anywhere listed in it, but I just felt compelled, so I snatched it off the shelf. And several other books along the way have made their way into my shelf. So when I finally made it to Spiritual Unity Windsor, and I checked out the library that we have, I realized that a third of the books that were here were already in my library, and I'd been attracted and drawn to the same teachings that I find here. So this definitely feels like a home for me.
Absolutely. And A Course in Miracles was when I discovered unity in Austin in 1984, the Unity Church that I first discovered unity at in Austin, they had a Course in Miracles group that was going on. So I got introduced to A Course in Miracles and unity pretty
Wow.
much right there at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So we're here talking about thinking and being. And this speaks very close to a lot of my heart because my doctoral studies happen to specialize in cognition and learning, where I learned how to think about your thinking. I'm so glad that we had that song, I Am the Thinker Who Thinks the Thought, because that's a really great preface to what we are talking about today. So if you feel a little confused at times, it's because it's a challenging thing to think about when we're trying to be the thinker who thinks about thinking. We can flip to the next slide. I think it'll help to have the visual there. Yeah, so we're going to be embracing presence through the release of thought. So we're going to think about our thinking so we can let go.
Yeah.
That's the goal, is to engage in presence, to go beyond thinking, and to be immersed in consciousness. And that's the goal that I have with the talk that I'm guiding us through today as we have this divine conversation.
So there was, I've heard before that think or be, you can't do both.
And I can agree with that. I remember, this is a great preface, I was meditating in an ashram in India, and the guru there had the same speech every time we did our meditation. He said, when you find stillness, you calm the mind, and you'll find a of stillness. That's how he described it. And he said, if you keep practicing, you can turn that into a moment. And you can turn that moment into a minute, and that minute into a lifetime. And I still carry that with me. That was 2008, I think I heard that. And I still carry that meditation and thought with me. And that's the goal of today, is how do we get the mind to quiet? So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So why are we thinking about being? Why are we thinking? How does thinking lead us to being? And you see that I've got this funnel shape there with monitoring our thoughts, that awareness of the three voices. I'll refer to three different kinds of voices that we have in our thoughts. And then how we plan. How can we set our intentions and our practice to quiet the mind? And then debugging. You see that little sniper on a little bug. How do we declutter in the end? How do we get those thoughts? And it was interesting as I was preparing for today, all the examples that I had to use from this talk to get my own mind to declutter as I was getting here. And it's amazing how quickly and how fast that happens. Even, you'll hear this and you'll learn maybe some new things today. But even if you were a master of this, I think it still has its way.
So I think it's sort of incredibly fascinating that actually being and thinking are like two different states
Yeah.
being. But they, yet they coexist and they interact with each other. Yet they never truly coincide. And so actually the only way that we can really discover that truth is by doing what we call meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's various ways, and we're going to talk about a couple examples today, and then our meditation today will be hopefully maybe a new one for you to try on. That's fun to experience, because it is. You reach that of stillness, and I know sometimes I'll hit it, and I'm like, I'm still, and then there it's gone. Right? So, that's where we're going to be focused today, is how can we declutter the mind? And it starts with that awareness piece. Let's go ahead to the next slide.
So these are a couple of quotes that I wanted to add. And one is by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, and he says, to know yourself, be yourself. To be yourself, stop imagining yourself to be this or that. Just be. Let your true nature emerge. Don't disturb your mind with seeking. And then Ramana Maharshi says, calmness is the criterion of spiritual progress. Plunge the purified mind into the heart. Then the work is over. And again, these are both saying, watch your thinking. Stop imagining. In other words, stop using your mind for that, and plunge the purified mind into the heart. I love that phrase.
I love that.
Yeah. It's the purified mind. What is the purified mind? It's that still mind where you've let go of all of these thoughts. And this is just what it's all about, is getting to know yourself.
Yeah. This reminds me of a challenge that we face in Western philosophy and Western thinking. We're taught, this model that the mind is like the charioteer and everything else is the horses, the emotions, the feelings. It's actually a little more the reverse if you look into the neuroscience of it. But I feel like Eastern mysticism understands this a little better than Western, because that idea that our mind can somehow control things, it becomes a bit of a trap for us, doesn't it?
It does. We don't control anything.
And that's why I love that center there, that just be, right?
Yeah, just be, yeah.
Yeah, just be. Let's go on to the next one. So this is one of my favorites from the Dhammapada, the writings of the Buddha. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It's founded on our thoughts. It's made up of our thoughts. And so we become the results of our thoughts.
And this is our third unity principle. Our third unity principle is we become the result of our thoughts. Therefore, it is essential that we think about our thoughts and find ways to sculpt them. Oh, that's not yours.
That's
yours, right?
That's okay. You go for it. You're doing great.
Anyway, we create with our third basic unity principle is we create with our thoughts and beliefs. We create reality through thoughts held in mind. Drawing from an unlimited field of possibility, our God mind, we create our experience by where we place our focus and belief. Yeah.
And ultimately, we want to hit that state of pure consciousness.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That purity that you talk about, where we're just being and we're letting go of the thoughts, where our thinking flows freely and it just becomes a state of being.
Right.
Let's go ahead to the next one. So let's start with the 3 steps to release our thoughts. I talked about these things: monitoring, planning, and debugging. So I'll start with monitoring. Monitoring is like mindfulness, if you've heard of that. It's like mindfulness, but with a goal. And so as you're listening to me right now, you might have thoughts going on about all kinds of things before here, things after here, maybe about the way I look, or any sort of thing. And it's bringing awareness to those thoughts. And when we're in a meditative practice, we might begin to think, what should I be thinking right now? Is a type, or how long have I been here? When that voice creeps up, that's the awareness of your mind coming into play. When we're planning, it's about organizing your time and your effort and your energy. And so an example of this might be before I meditate, I'm going to turn off my phone and find a comfortable position. You know, before I was leaving, I was getting ready, and then my mustache was itchy, right? And I said, you know, I'm going to quickly just trim that so it stops itching so I can be present. That's a bit of planning. It's a bit of forethought. If I know it's itching, yeah, I could scratch at it if it really gets in the way. But I could just, of course, now that I'm thinking about it, it gets itchy. But, you know, it's one of those things where you can do a little forethought. You can do a little planning to prep yourself and be ready. And then debugging is the efforts we take to resolve or fix a perceived difficulty. And I put in the word perceived because not everything is actually difficult, but if we feel like it might be, it can become so. And so an example of this may show up in your practice is I'm struggling to focus. I'm going to try thinking about a calm lake to calm my mind as an example of how we might reset and debug our thoughts. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So we begin by recognizing those thoughts that we're having. And if you will, I've got 3 different voices that I've laid out here for you. There's your primal, your biological thoughts, you know, sleep, hunger, thirst, hormones, immune system. They all have little reminders for us that we have things that we need to do for our bodies. And they show up from time to time. And our body needs to take time to learn its processes. We teach this to children as they're growing, to learn to listen to those voices and take time for them. And with practice, you can even sense things like your heart rate, blood pressure, your breathing, sleep, hunger. You know, there are those gurus who can do the polar bear dips and can control their heart rates, and you hear about that. It's amazing what we can do with the mind and just the primal thoughts. And I describe those as kind of the first layer that we have to get past, because those become the most loud at times if we ignore them.
Yeah.
And then we have the evolved mind, and I call it evolved because it's really what separates mammals from the other animals in the animal kingdom. The prefrontal cortex, the ability to have willpower, to actually override the primal voice and, you know, control ourselves in social situations and be able to interact with each other and put yourself aside. But it also comes with a bit of ego, doesn't it? Like, I don't want to be here right now, or I would like to be doing this. And so regrets, ruminations over the past, and you know, the future, they all emerge here in that evolved mind. And so becoming aware when that one creeps up is very important. And then we have our intuition. And our intuition is remarkable. We're only just now starting to learn about this. I love reading about the latest neuroscience that comes out. It's millions of pieces of information that spit out a feeling. You know, you meet someone and you have this gut feeling about them. And then years later, you're like, I was right. They were a good person. Or I was right. They weren't good for me. And it's amazing how that comes about as just this intuitive instinct. And that instinct can also be honed when we're meditating. We can be in practice and we can feel, we can just know without getting caught up in the ego mind, as I call it. We can really just immerse ourselves into those feelings. But something I caution is that gut feeling, it can be wrong sometimes. We sometimes can have that inaccurate, especially when we're new. So as we're engaging in our practice, it's easy to get distracted by that feeling and say, this feels wrong, when actually it might be okay. And it might be all right to try it on a little bit longer and see where that goes. Let's go ahead to the next one. So these are all the kinds of things that can get in our way. And you can see them there with little pictures to help you out. In the end, it's about finding out, how do I eliminate these distractions? And what's my goal for my practice today? I find lately my goal is just to be. I find when I'm spending more time listening than I am talking, although I am a talkative guy, I find that I find presence much faster when I engage in that. And so just picking a couple examples you see there, one of my favorites is technology. You know, before I engaged in practice today and when I do want to feel present, I have a mode in my phone. I put it in Do Not Disturb. I turn the settings completely off, you know? And it's at the point now with my phone that I actually forget where my phone is most of the time because I'm so disconnected from it, which is unusual for people in my peers. A lot of them are attached to their phones and can't let it go. But taking the time to disconnect like that is very important.
Another thing over here is the multitasking. I think multitasking is just a totally misnomer. It's just, there's no such thing as multitasking. We tried to.
It's
but
an illusion.
It's an illusion.
It really is. When you think about attention, which could be a whole other talk,
Right.
it takes so little to distract our attention.
Right.
You know, that psychic energy that we're putting into focusing on things. And so multitasking is a bit of an illusion. Where we can do it is if we have a habit and we're not thinking about it. Like I could be walking and talking at the same time, and we call that multitasking. But really, it's multi-habits is what I'm engaging in. And that's how we can do that. We can just stack our habits and juggle while walking and talking if we so wish, if we practice enough.
Because we really don't have to think about walking, you know?
Right.
We don't have to think about chewing gum.
Right.
You know? So it's something that, you know, there are habits that you can.
Right.
Gotcha.
And the goal that I invite us to think about today is to engage in meditation as a habit and how to bring that into our daily practice. No matter where you are or what you're doing, it can become a meditation. It has the opportunity for that.
That's very important because there's so many different ways that we can meditate,
Yeah.
you know.
I find I can even do it in the middle of a conversation. If I'm really focusing on a great conversation and you're present with somebody, and then suddenly you're like, oh my goodness, 4 hours just went by. What happened? Then you were in a meditative state, even while your thinking mind was going on, because you were present. You were just engaged in that moment, which I honestly feel right now. I'm having fun.
And presence is, to me, the key, you know.
It
just
is.
being fully present to whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
You can make it a meditation.
Absolutely.
You know, the Zen say, you know, chop wood, you know, carry water, or, you know, just, you know, you can meditate just washing the dishes. It makes washing the dishes a lot more fun.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's where the boredom one came up for me. When I was younger, boredom was a constant challenge. My mind was racing. It used to take me 3 hours to fall asleep because my mind would be racing so much. And I have taken, as a result of my doctoral work, I actually started practicing during chores because your mind wanders the most during that. So I said, this is a great time to just think about what I'm thinking. Where is my mind going? And building that awareness is such an excellent opportunity in the middle of those chores.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead to the next slide. Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. I love this particular one. Verily, you're suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you're empty are you at standstill and balanced. So to achieve that stillness, we have to balance our head voices. You know, you have to attend to the body when it needs it. You have to attend to your wants within reason. And our instincts are there to help us. So when we find that balance, we can then reach that stillness to allow things to just flow and to just be.
And another thing we have to do is not fight with what is.
Yes.
It's an acceptance of what
Yes.
is, you know.
Yes.
Right.
That brings me to our next slide, actually. 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. So do something about those thoughts that keep coming up, or be complete with it. I heard this meditation when I was in yoga way back. 90% of our thoughts are things we've thought before. Mm-hmm. We've already taken action, and there's nothing we can do to change it. So let go of the old thoughts to make room for new ones. This became my practice for a couple years. Every time an old thought would emerge, if I recognize it as having come up 3 times, maybe it was more, most likely, but when I was aware that it came up in my mind 3 times, I said, okay, what can I do about it? Is there something I need to do? So for example, on the way here, I had some work that was rattling around in my head, and I was trying to remember it because I didn't want to forget. And I knew that work, which I don't remember what it is anymore, because I wrote it down. I wrote it down so I know when I get home I'll find it. That's fine, it's there. And now I get to be here, which is what I needed. And so when that thought emerged by the third time, I said, I'm just going to take time to write it down. And by doing that, I can let go of the thought.
Yeah.
But then there are others that come up, things that come up in our past or things about our future, our worries. And we have to find a way to be complete with it, to accept. It doesn't mean that we like what we're thinking about. It doesn't mean that we like that reality that we're noticing. But acceptance, you might have heard radical acceptance, is that understanding and acknowledging that it is what it is.
And again, Eckhart Tolle is always talking about, being, what's more ridiculous than fighting what is. I mean,
Right.
we have to accept what is. And one of my favorite quotes from Anthony de Mello, are you familiar with Anthony? Anthony de Mello was an Indian, born in Bombay. He was a Jesuit priest. And somebody asked him what enlightenment was, and I loved his definition. He said, enlightenment is absolute cooperation with the inevitable.
I love that. And we can get upset about things. Like the example I heard a guru talk about once is you're sitting there and you're meditating and there's this stone in your shoe and you're like, I don't want that stone to be there. But the stone is there and it's in your shoe. And when you can accept that the stone is there and it's in your shoe, then you find that it just stops being important because you're just acknowledging that it's there. It may not be comfortable, and you can acknowledge that too. I'm not comfortable with this rock being there. And then you find that too passes. It's that saying, this too shall pass.
Yeah. But it's also easy to just take the stone
Out of your shoe.
That might be the thing to do.
That might be the thing, exactly. Let's go ahead to the next one. So, when we're, to debug our thoughts, it's about decluttering those head voices. That's ultimately what it's about. And there are also different practices that you could engage in. And I'll just quickly summarize them here. Many of them you may be aware of, and if you're looking for details, I'd be happy to chat with you after as well. Mindful observation is one of my favorites. It's one you can practice anywhere. And you just literally look at your surroundings and try to describe it with words. And watch as the words fail to describe your environment. This stonework right here is an excellent example of that. Because, you could describe it as tiled, but it's not quite tiled. It's asymmetrical and so on. And as we get more and more descriptive and trying to describe your senses, your surroundings, you find that you begin to let go of describing it, and you just see it and observe it. Breath awareness is a very common one, focusing on those breathing techniques. Loving kindness is a gratitude practice that we can engage in when we're with others. Just bringing loving kindness to those that we're around. I remember one time I was with somebody and they were in the middle of a very stressful moment for them. And they were trying to make it mine. They were trying to pass that stress to me with their anger. And it was strange because I just put loving kindness towards them and it washed over me. And the more it washed over me, the more angry they got because I wasn't a part of their process. But it continued to wash over me in that moment. So even in the middle of someone else's moment, you can express that loving kindness. Identifying content is what I do when I'm engaging with someone and I find I'm not fully present. So I observe them. What's their personality like? What am I seeing emotionally? What am I feeling when I'm with them? The nature meditation we're going to practice later today. I'm going to guide you through a naturescape that you'll create of your own and explore. And body scanning is a really excellent one. It's where you scan your body and build awareness. It's an excellent mindfulness practice and an excellent way to engage.
So you call these focus techniques.
Yeah.
And that's what everything here has, that's what everything has here in common.
Yeah.
Is it's a way to focus. It's a way to be fully present.
Yes.
Okay, so because we have to focus, we have to be present.
That's right.
Yeah.
As you focus, you begin to defocus. You begin to let go. And it starts with having a focal point for the mind to then give the mind the chance to release. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So here we have those three voices, the primal, the evolved, and the intuitive. And I'll start with the primal. You know, the easiest way, like take the stone out of your shoe. Take action on it. As a kid, you know, I remember being fearful of asking to go to the bathroom when I was in school because some teachers were weird about that. And so I'd wait for the in-between times. But, you know, it would have really helped if I would have just said, can I go? I need to go right now. And I find sometimes I still do that, not just with things like that, but other parts of our anatomy that require attention. You know, take the time to address those needs and allow that to pass. The evolved mind is a little trickier because that's where we have to reach that state of acceptance. And I remember hearing this about mindfulness. You acknowledge the thought. I use this example. You're walking by someone and they're asking for money. And you say, oh, no, I don't have any money to give. And you keep going. And you feel angry that they asked you for money. Maybe angry. Maybe you have a thought that they're homeless. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But you have this thought. And then you feel guilty that you feel angry that they asked for money. And notice all the racket that gets built up over this moment. And if you could just acknowledge the thought, yeah, I had this moment, this angry moment of being interrupted in my day. And then you can dismiss it and you can let it go. And then, I felt guilty. And why did I feel guilty? Oh, because they're a person. And that guilt is reminding me that they're a person and that they matter. And so I find for myself with this one, too, if I can, I act on it. If I feel bad about a relationship from my past, maybe I make a phone call and just take care of that. And if I can no longer make the phone call, maybe it's a prayer or a meditation. Or maybe it's just taking time to be with it and accept that that's where I left that conversation or that's where that moment is. And so when my thoughts emerge, especially here, I ask myself, is this a new thought? Or have I thought this before? And if I thought it before, then I'm not complete with it yet. There's something about it that I need to find acceptance. When it comes to that instinctual mind, the intuitive, consider your reaction. Is it helping you? Is that it's a judgment. It's a judging mind. It spits out a feeling. Is it helping you? That judgment, that feeling. If so, maybe taking action on it can be good. Or is it really just judging? In which case, maybe it's time to let that be, that passing thought that we have. Let's go ahead to the next one. So this is another verse from the Dhammapada that I really love. As a fish taken from his watery home and thrown on dry ground, our thought trembles all over in order to escape the dominion of the tempter. I love that because this image of a fish thrashing about, this is what it's like when you're trying to focus your mind. And the more you try to focus your mind, the more it's going to thrash about, the more it's going to move about. I think a lot about that song by John Lennon, Let It Be.
Let it be, yes.
Because he didn't do that Disney track, Let It Go, right? Why did he say, let it be? And I think letting something be is acceptance. When we say let it be, that's what that speaks to me about, is how can I let this be? So for me, what does that mean? I think when we let something be, we just acknowledge that it exists. There are things in the world that exist that I may not want to exist, but I can acknowledge that it's there. It'd be as ridiculous as saying, well, I don't want the sky to be blue, but it is blue. I can fight against it, or I can just accept the sky is blue. And I know that that's a bit of an obvious one. I picked an obvious one. But I think all things can be that way. But of course, our ego mind and other things will come up. And so it's challenging because we have to let go that it doesn't mean that things are right or wrong. It's just there in all of its forms. And so a really good example, it's been a while since I picked up a copy of the Dhammapada, but it's as I was preparing for today that I picked it up and started to read through a good chunk of it, looking for wisdom to bring into today. And there was this moment of, why didn't you do this sooner? And then I have to let that be too, right? Our mind will obsess over all kinds of things. But if we can practice that acceptance of letting it be, which I think our meditative practices give us the chance to do, then I think we can, bit by bit, take that moment and turn it into a moment, and turn that moment into a minute, and that minute into a lifetime.
And we are going to learn a meditation technique.
Yes.
And so if you're ready, we can go ahead and...
Yeah, did we want to do that after the song or before the song? I forget the order.
Oh, we will do a little bit of music here, and we'll get. We always like to sort of let the music sort of take us into that state. Yeah.
So you can go ahead to the next slide.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Be careful what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
So I invite you to.
Thank you. I want to invite you to close your eyes. And as you breathe, it can be helpful to engage in maybe some belly breathing, inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4, letting your hand on your belly rise and fall if that assists you. Inhale and exhale. And I invite you to consider a landscape. Maybe it's peaceful plains, a quiet cottage, a calm lake, or a regal forest. Use a word to anchor to that landscape of choice. Maybe it's grass, or cottage, or water, or woods. Whenever your mind wanders and you notice, use the word you just chose to call yourself back to that place. And as you consider that place, imagine, what does it look like? What details do you see? What colors are there? Is it like a picture, or is it a whole reality that you can see everything? What angle are you looking at it from? From above, below? Are you in it? Perhaps you hear sounds coming from there. Are they in front of you or behind you? Is the sound outside of you, or is it inside? Is it loud or soft? What does it sound like? Are there pauses in the sound? If you feel something now, where is it located? Is it inside you? Is it outside you? What does it shape, this feeling? Is it moving? Where is that pressure, the weight? What's the texture? Use these details to focus your mind as you continue breathing. Allow waves of calm to spill over you, calming you, quieting your mind, relaxing you, using that word to guide you back, when you feel like you've wandered too far. And when you're ready, slowly bring yourself back into your body, back into this room, back into this place. Be gentle. It's no rush. And when you feel comfortable, just take one last inhale and one last exhale. And welcome back.
And we remember that anytime we want to, we can just tap into that stillness. It's easy to do, and the more you do it through the practice of meditation, the easier, no matter what's going on, you can just tap into that.
Absolutely.
Tap into that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's give him a hand. And we'll have to have you back.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you very much. Very nice. The conversation was great. I just really appreciated you. You know, for me, it's like I like having tools, but I also like to know the theory behind the tools too, and it really helps me to kind of integrate. So I thank you for that. I'd also like to thank our fabulous music team. It's just, we are so fortunate to have this level of talent with us. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
And thank you, Leo. We're glad to have you
not
here
to
too.
forget Liam.
Yeah.
And thank you, Reverend David, as well, for all your leadership.
Okay, so anyway, Justin, thank you so much for being here. And it was really great being in conversation with you. And but anyway, thank you. You'll have to come again, okay? Thank you. Okay, so now it is time to let us take to heart our vision and our mission and our statement of being.
Okay, so we have a global vision. And will you please speak it with me? Our vision is a world powerfully transformed
through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And we have a sacred mission. Will you say that with me? We inspire and empower spiritual growth to awaken us and transform the world.
And we also have a statement of being. We have a personal statement of being, and will you please say that with me?
I am a dynamic center of the Christ light, mighty to unfold my good and radiate that good to all. Well, we have a few announcements to make. Today is exciting. We've got our Day of Gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the social committee is hosting a Day of Gratitude with a Thanksgiving potluck, and that's taking place right after the service upstairs in our community room. And we also have a drumming circle, and that is held I think it's just the first Monday of every month.
It's, the first Sunday of every month, and
And
it'll be at 1
1
o'clock.
p.m.,
So
yeah,
it'll
with
be,
Nelson
we'll have
Inc.
have a chance to eat
Play
and then later we'll do the drumming, which I think will be a lot
Really
of fun.
cool. Yep, and all are welcome.
Yeah, all are welcome. Also, just a quick note that we do have our fall spirit groups. They are starting up right now, so check with our newsletter and also our website. The information for all the different spirit groups. There's 5 of them going on, starting really soon, if not already. So do check those out. And Joanne?
So Unity Spiritual Center is delighted to announce the imminent launch of Self-Compassion, a Gentle online course. And it's a 12-week online book study starting October 3rd to December 19th, 7 to 9 p.m. on Zoom. And it's using a small breakout room format. And this hands-on course will engage you in doing inner work designed to heal your inner critic. Week by week, the course will take up a new chapter in Kristen Neff's experiential workbook on self-compassion. If you're interested, please register now, and you can see the newsletter for the links to register.
And also Ken Hart, who is, Ken, wait, hold your hand up.
There,
Ken's
yes.
back there, so if you have any questions about that group, and it is starting up, it's not too late to register. But you'll need to register and to get the link to it. And Ken, thank you. Ken and Sean Sharkey do these, several of these every year, and they're just great workshops. And so we do invite you to join in those. Also, there's something that's coming up that's very exciting. We're doing our first annual Fall Wellness Fair. And that's going to be in November the 12th. That's a Sunday. That will be in place of our regular Sunday program. It'll be going on all day. It is from 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock. And it's a big thing. We've got vendors. We've got vegan food. We've got musicians. Mike's setting up a band and everything to be here. We've got a harp player. We've got music going on. We've got 4 key speakers. We have other breakout groups. It's just going to be a great affair. It's our first one. And boy, do we need volunteers because it's a big event. So we want all of you to find some way that you can help us pull this off. And I'm excited about it. We're actually all of us. Those of you that are excited about it, clap your hands. Woo! I am, absolutely. So we have a sign-up sheet up there, and it's a long sign-up sheet. It takes up the whole table. But anyway, go up there and see where you might be able to volunteer. And we would love to see some names on there today. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, also, I've got another one here. Unity Kitchener is hosting a Zoom concert with Karen Drucker. She's a singer, songwriter, retreat leader, author, and comedian. I know Karen. We play her songs here all the time. But it is on Friday, November the 17th, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. It's an online thing, okay? It's an online thing. And tickets are $25. And I'm having some little issues there. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, okay. But anyway, I do encourage you to check that out.
So next Sunday, October 8th, Reverend David will present a fresh look at the third unity principle, harnessing the power of your thoughts. A continuation of today's, yeah. Boom.
I don't know if it's me or... Okay. We have just want to remind you that we do have, I can speak loud, so it's okay. We have our prayer chaplain, Lucy Croker, back here, and she's available upstairs right after this. Thank you. There we go. I'm back.
All of our classes, programs, and services are made possible by your generous donations. Our heartfelt thanks for your continuous support. We've created many easy ways for which you can donate, and you can find that on our website, and we do really appreciate all that.
And for those of you here, our love offering box is right up here at the entry next to the foyer. And again, thank you. You are the ones that make all of this happen. So we are very, very grateful for your continuous, support. By the way, if you are wanting, this is a tax deductible, any donation you give. So if you do wish a tax deductible donation, please put your name, print it on there so we have your name, so that we know who to give the tax deduction to. So.
Cool. All right, so now we invite you to stand up and let's open our hearts and minds in gratitude as we close with offering prayer and our peace song and our protections.
So divine love in me and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us.
I am light.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am love.
The power of God protects us.
I am power.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am presence.
And wherever we are, God is.
I am divine.
And my friends, you truly are. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
being here.
everybody.
And please join us upstairs for the potluck.